all. We just do. We're not really starting a show yet. It's just more content for the folks who watch on YouTube.
For the folks that are willing to actually dial in and watch this like it were a television show, we typically give them just a little bit more.
Yeah, so I'm gonna hit it out on Twitter right quick. Sherwin, you got to do the entertainment here.
Oh yeah. So, well, how's the holiday stuff going for you, Jerry? You got
well, I spent most of the day moving furniture for a family member, but other than that, it's been going pretty fun. I was in Vegas for the banquet, and then I guess I go back to Charlotte on the 18th.
So is Charlotte home or Texas?
Texas is home. It's just that during the race season, I'm based out of Charlotte most of the time because there's so much stuff there that's it's just easier for me to stay there through 3 or 4 or 5 weeks at a time, and then come back home for a week or so, and then go back on the road.
Sure. Well, so towards the end of the program, we've got some questions that revolve around your travel, and we'll talk about your truck and travel trailer and all the fun that you had doing that. So we got some stuff. I actually did get Gluck to respond to me via Snapchat from Paris. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's how he was in China last year, and I've been several times to China. So when he was over there, I said, look, you've got to go to Macau. You've got to do a couple of things here and there. And because he obviously had never been there before. And so that's how we were talking to one another, was via Snapchat, because of the way that the rules are with Twitter and Facebook and things like that in China.
That's cool. Yeah, I was actually surprised that he responded. That's pretty neat. He's a good dude.
He's a real good dude. Just a great guy, and I'm glad he's making it the way he is. He's the smartest guy in the room, if you ask me, because they laid off a bunch of people at the USA Today and got rid of Brant James, and they did Jeff wrong, and so when he decided he would leave, it was kind of cool the way he did it, and he said, "Look, I'm going to go out on my own, and I'm going to do it myself and get the fans to fund it," and they did it. So it's kind of like, I left a newspaper job as an editor. They wanted me to quit covering NASCAR, and I said, "You don't understand. I like NASCAR." They said, "We can't do both." I'm like, "Well, you don't understand. I'm not giving up NASCAR."
For sure. That's awesome.
So here I am.
It's a couple leaps of faith there too.
Yeah, it's cool. The fact that you don't know if you're going to have enough money to pay your bills or not. That kind of sucks. But
right.
We're doing okay. I've got 5 riders at Kicking, so I'm happy with those guys, and they all get a small paycheck, and it's not enough to live on, but you can buy them a tank of gas or 2.
Right.
That's cool.
I'll run you through the show sheet real quick. Being the off season, I mean, of course, we don't have anything to talk about from last week or next week in terms of racing. So this is just one of those open mic sort of shows. Whatever happens, happens.
Well, you got Ricky and Danica.
Well, we got that written down. Yeah,
that's
we'll
in there.
Hit the gossip column.
You got Jeffrey Earnhardt.
Jeffrey, what was the Jeffrey story?
Oh, I forgot about that. That Circle Sport and forgive me,
the motorsports group TMG.
That's right, TMG. They separated, meaning that both groups have a charter now. Is that was my assumption?
That's what I'm hearing, but Jeffrey had a sponsor with Hulu and a deal for this year, so he announced it on his webpage. We've got a story up that he had things that were in the works. So good to hear from him. I didn't have a chance to call him today, otherwise I would have added more to it. But Caleb Whistler, one of my writers, did that story earlier today. So maybe that's going on.
Maybe we'll just throw that to you and let you do however you want to do it. If you just want to plug your writer's piece, that's fine. Or if you want to talk about it too, that's cool.
Okay. Yeah. Also, you got Kurt Busch's contract was finally signed, and he's got a new crew chief, which I think sucks. But
well, good. We've got that one written in, so that'll be
so I didn't. I should have added some sort of note about Tony Oldman, because he's such a cool thing for NASCAR, and he's been a great guest for both Kelly Crandall and Nate Ryan in the past month and a half or so.
Yeah, and see, I interviewed him in my podcast, I had a radio show that was here in Texas and Houston and Beaumont area, and I interviewed him, but my show went away a few months ago, and I didn't write a story because he wasn't ready for the information to get out. And then Kelly obviously got Nate got some information, then Kelly got some information from me. We kind of knew that he wanted to get off the road, but he would have come back for one more year with Kurt. And I want to make that clear. He would have been happy to come back with Kurt for one more year. Just things don't work out in NASCAR sometimes.
I was convinced that he was coming back, just based on the way he was talking.
I was too. And when I talked to Kurt, I thought that was what they had worked out in the contract. So it's interesting that a big storyline in the Kurt Busch situation was the management company that he.
Let's do it on the show.
Let's go ahead and get. Yes, we're doing too much that other people that iTunes isn't going to get. So let's go ahead and get started.
I'll run down.
I think this happens to Rogan all the time.
Oh yeah,
not that we should compare us to
him. Yeah, so we'll do our intros and stuff. Jerry, the audio might cut out on you for maybe about a minute while we're doing our intros. For some reason, when I'm playing our theme music and stuff, it decides to cut out. So if it cuts out and you're kind of tapping the headphones going, hey, what's going on? That's what's going on. It's just we're a ragtag audio group here.
I want to know how you're setting this whole thing up with the video and stuff, because I've been wanting to do this. I think it's phenomenal.
Well, excellent. We'll oh yeah, nice. We'll yeah, we can talk in the after the show or whatever.
Yeah,
but
BS about that in the after
for sure.
show.
It's I'm also a computer science major from Georgia Tech, so it helped.
Yeah,
me.
okay, yeah, that kind of helps. Huh?
yeah. I hadn't programmed anything in a long time, but there's still that. You get that itch, is what it is. You get that. You're like, man, if I could put something together, that'd be cool, and you end up putting stuff on and keep going through, and it's kind of motivating, really.
Yeah.
So
Rusty and I have a really fair trade. He does all the IT work, I do all the marketing, and it takes about the same amount of effort.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here with a Alienware 15-inch laptop with all kinds of bells and whistles that I don't know how to use. So
yeah.
All right, well, let's do it, man.
All right. So after that, we'll welcome you on the show. Do some introductions and stuff. We talk about a driver number every episode, so it's episode 125. We'll talk about the 25 car for a bit. And then just going to the news, all the stuff we were just talking about, then questions from the PTM posse, as we call them. And really, that's about it. Do we have a time commitment with you? Is there a time you need to be out?
No, I'm good. Whatever you need.
Yeah, we usually run just over an hour or so. After we start recording and everything. Once we're done, we'll say bye and all that, but feel free to stick around and we can sort of debrief or whatever.
Sure. Great.
And then that'll be it. Like I said, we might cut out for about a minute here, and then once we come back, you'll hear us loud and clear.
Not a problem, bud. Thanks.
Sherwin, you ready to roll?
Let's do it.
All right. Jerry, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Here goes nothing. We are recording now. Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a good one, dude.
Excited.
Come on, Sydney. Lay down those pipes.
Welcome, y'all! That's right. This is a Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 125. It's Tuesday, December 19th, 2017. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace. I'm joining the PTM Podcast studio with Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
Hey, man, we took like 12 days off, and I'm not sure I even know how to do this anymore.
Right? I mean, we're backwards. We're all turned around. We almost sat in the wrong chairs. Who knows? We'll get this thing going. Before we do, want to tell y'all the PTM Podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. You go to patreon.com/PTM. Join the What You Drink Club for as little as $1 a month. Get that free koozie. Best part is, every cent in 2017, and we're wrapping it up right now, we're donating that to sponsoring drivers. So join the PTM Posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. This week's show is brought to you by our official sponsors at the $5 and up per month level. That's Catherine Kingston, Ashley Stang, Laura Henshaw, Harry Balzania, Mick Rose, Chad Sterling, Aaron Bearden, Robert Keppinger, Tony Salt, Colby McClam, Eric Kepner, Ryan Kiefer, Mary Levesque, Patrick Cleary, and Jeff Brown. Woo! You guys rock! Oh, man, the PTM Posse is strong. Dude, I've seen a few people already on the YouTube comments. They were saying, thank you so much for doing this during the off season. Thank y'all, Thank you for joining in. We wouldn't, well, maybe we would do it if nobody was around just because we enjoy doing it so much. But it's really cool. And equally cool, Sherwin, is the fact that so many folks still actually want to come on with us. Maybe they haven't heard about how janky the show is.
How silly we are.
But we do have a guest tonight.
Jerry's first run through the ringer.
Here it comes. He's the editor for our friends over at Kicking the Tires, host of PRN Live, Garage Pass, the AP NASCAR correspondent. You can find him on Twitter at JerryJordan_KTT. It is Jerry Jordan. Welcome to the show, Jerry. What's happening?
Well, not a lot. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right. All the way out from Texas. What part of Texas there, Jerry?
Beaumont, you know that part that got a whole lot of water that was just east of Houston everybody forgot about? That one.
That one. Oh, boy.
Yeah, y'all had something like 4 years worth of rain in 3 days or something like that?
At my house, we had 45 inches of rain
my God.
in about 36 hours.
I saw a picture on Twitter.
That's bananas.
I mean, insane.
What are you?
Total insanity. I saw a picture on Twitter. It was of the same. You've probably seen this one. It's of the same sign, like street sign, road name sign. I don't remember the name of the road. So
it looked like Ocean. It was Highway 10.
It was underneath. Well, this was just a local street sign. It was underneath water, and next to it was a picture from like 3 months later, and it's covered in snow. And it was like, man, that street. Those poor folks. I don't know.
Pretty violent weather changes.
Right. Yeah, 2 weeks ago we had 4 inches of snow, which is something that we never get in Southeast Texas. And I will say this: we usually never get 40 some odd inches of rain in 36 hours. But we definitely have had our share of the weather. And get this: Christmas is going to be 28 to 31 degrees. And it's going to rain. So that's like the perfect mixture for snow.
You're talking to two boys from the South as well, and I know we have our northern friends, especially a lot in that Detroit area.
Detroit, up in New York,
making fun of
Pennsylvania.
us. Man, living down here, you just turn into a wuss and that kind of stuff, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Oh, man, I got to say this. Whoever B1624 is, this weather in Texas, if you don't like it, wait a few minutes. I grew up with that saying my whole life in Georgia.
Right. Yeah, we said it in Wisconsin and other places. What can you say? Weather's crazy.
You want to see a bunch of rednecks freak out and a bunch of schools closed? Let it snow like 1 millimeter in Southeast Texas, and the people go just nuts.
Oh, man, that's a place for Atlanta's heart right there. Y'all are well in tune with us.
Well, the 2 Fridays ago, I had a snowball fight like I was a teenager or even a grade school kid with 3 other people in their 30s. We were all just having a blast.
We had real snow. That was the first time I think I've ever seen like real snow, because usually we get it'll rain and then it'll ice over.
Well, we had the Snowmageddon 4 years ago.
That mess
wasn't great.
Yeah. And so we had actual real powder snow and
or the fluffy stuff. The stuff that you don't even have to try to make a snowball. You just 2 hands. Whoop,
yeah, now you have
a snowball.
Yeah, weapons at the ready. Sherwin, or actually, we'll start with Jerry. Jerry, we always start the show with the same thing. What you drinking tonight, Jerry?
Nothing. I am sitting in my office and I have nothing around me. I just realized that a few minutes ago. I'm like, there's nothing in here to drink. I have a glass of wine in the other room.
Oh, man.
Well, we would happily let you go get it if you want to step out for 10 seconds.
I might do that in a few minutes.
Sure thing. We'll give you the heads up.
Too bad I'm not when Rusty goes and have a butler. Otherwise, I'd ring a bell.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
when Rusty goes into the driver number 25 segment, that'd be a great time for you to peel off.
Okay.
Sherwin, tell us about this. This is incredible what you brought over tonight.
I don't have any idea what this is except for that the what do we call this? Advertising, the packaging, just struck my fancy, and the fact that what it is. It's called Stillhouse Peach Tea Whiskey, and it comes in a can that looks exactly like old school lantern fuel can.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a tin can with a screw top cap. That's really all I can say about it. It's,
we'll find out a little later.
We're going to find out what it is
what
later.
It
It's from Columbia, Tennessee.
That's neato.
Yeah,
that's definitely. I mean, the design people did something right there. I'll tell you what. So enjoy on that. We're going to have some fun. Before we get to it, y'all, and Jerry, this is your cue, man. If you need to go grab something, you're more than welcome at this point.
That's good.
Well, I do have a $200 bottle of tequila in the other room.
Well. I'm not saying we're $200 kind of people, but I'm not going to discourage you from going and getting it.
Hey, I bought it on eBay for $80 for the bottle.
My man.
You can't sell alcohol on eBay, but they sold it for $80 for the glass bottle. It was
That's
an
awesome.
Añejo bottle of Patron. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, that's the stuff right there. It's episode number 125.
We'll start with start with however you do it.
Oh yeah, so it's driver number 25. There's several here, man. Kenny Schrader, 267 races, 4 wins.
Oh, I forgot about Kenny drove for Hendrick too.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a pretty car. I mean, that was the same. That was a Napa car, right? I think so. That same blue.
No, it was
the
the
25.
Budweiser car is the one that I remember the most, but that doesn't mean he didn't drive the Napa
Yeah.
car.
I'll skip one for a moment. You know who? Dick Linder, 19 races, 3 wins. Brian Vickers had a win in the 25 over
He damn
112
sure did,
races.
and actually, pretty damn controversial win, as it turns out. Especially for old Drewski's freaking fantasy NASCAR. I was just getting into that crap, and I had started Dale Jr. and Jimmy Johnson on the Yahoo Fantasy. He wrecks them both coming out of turn 4. Turns out it was an accident. The way they all pulled out, somebody slowed down like too much or whatever. Like, you know how they pull out and they just don't have the speed anymore?
Yep.
And so Brian got in the back of Jimmy and wrecked everybody. Well, except himself, and he ends up winning the race.
Oh, man. Jerry Nadeau? Did we ever decide how to...
Nadeau.
There it is. 81 races, 1 win in 25. Front Row Joe, 57 races with a win in that 25 car. Jack White. Now, I should have looked up some more information on Jack White. 1 for 1.
100%.
100%.
Everybody have a drink.
Oh, yes, sir. It's 100% drinking word there. Jack White. I'll try to find out some more information about him here in a bit. But Sherwin, Tim Richmond. Tell us about Tim Richmond. You were talking to me about him. I'm like, man, I got to let him have some little bit of thunder here. 37 races with 9 wins in 37. I hate to steal the thunder from Mr.
How about that percentage?
1 for 1, but whatever that might be. But 9 for 37 ain't no fluke.
No, it's not for not at all. And so Tim, they did a 30 for 30 on him. If you guys haven't watched that ESPN documentary program, they've probably done 100 of them now, but the one on Tim Richmond is absolutely fantastic. If you're not aware, the movie Days of Thunder was loosely based on Tim Richmond. And Robert Duvall's character, Harry Hogg, was basically was loosely based on Harry Hyde, who was Tim Richmond's crew chief. Like, there's a lot of things that connect there. And, Tim was just a rich kid from Ohio that wanted to get in a race car, got into an open wheel, like a sprint car, and went faster than the guy that ran on the pole. And they're like, uh-oh, what do we got here?
Look at this guy.
He got into IndyCar a little bit. Go ahead, Jerry.
It's crazy that y'all had 25 as the car number tonight.
Excellent.
I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but I have a gun safe in the garage. I'm going to hold this picture up. Okay, that's the outside.
Yep, I'm seeing it. Yep.
Okay. Now, look at the inside.
Oh, wow. 25.
That is the door panel from the 25 car that Brian Vickers drove, and it's autographed. They made my gun safe using NASCAR parts, and so it's just kind of weird that 25 is the car number.
Man, I got goosebumps. That is cool.
Super
it's Christmas,
cool.
And it's Christmas time right now. What can I say? There you go. So, yeah, Tim Richmond. Sure, and you were saying even like Tim Richmond was kind of in a way, the Jeff Gordon of that time.
Well, in terms of how well he performed on track, he was, I would say it's probably not fair to Jeff to compare their personal lives and et cetera, but Tim Richmond was the first Hollywood guy.
Yeah.
Like, he was a ladies' man, and he exorcised the demons. And go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah. Oh, no. I agree. Yeah.
And the reason why we see that he's only raced 37 times in the Cup Series despite having 9 wins is that he got sick with a disease that was an immune disease that was incurable at the time. Mm-hmm. And whether or not that was due to his promiscuous behavior or not is up for debate. but he would have been something very special, much like we talk about Davey Allison in a very different light. But as a competitor, the sport really missed out on what would have been his best years.
Sure. So with that, we also have. So by the way, hats off and drinks up. We haven't.
Yeah, hats off to Tim Richmond.
Talked about Tim Richmond just in passing, but we haven't had a good longer segment. But Jabe Thomas has the most number of runs in the number 25 car, 305 of his 322 starts in the 25 car. He raced in the mid-60s, or actually throughout the 60s and into the 70s. No wins, but he had a 4-year stretch of top 8 in points. So points racer right there, Mr. Jabe Thomas. He started in Virginia where he won the 1958 championship at the Motor Mile, dude.
Oh, the Motor Mile.
Motor Miles, yes, sir. NASCAR debut. Who did we talk about? Because I was trying to remember. Who did we talk with about getting in a NASCAR later on in your life? Because he didn't start in NASCAR till he was 35 years old. You remember talking about that with somebody recently?
I do, but I'm drawing a blank.
I am too.
This is bad radio.
Yeah, we're terrible.
That's okay.
I figured Sherwin usually has the.
I usually have that
memory.
weirded brain. Yeah.
But we were talking with somebody recently about joining later on. It must have been a driver or somebody. Who
had to have been.
Yeah. He's the father of 1978 Rookie of the Year, Ronnie Thomas. So old
wow, that's
Jabe
cool.
Thomas. Jabe passed away in June of 2015, 85 years old. So once again, drinks up and the hats off for Mr. Jabe Thomas.
Look what I got.
He's got the Old Smoky. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Perfect.
Had it brought in.
Yeah.
Yummy.
Did you text somebody on the phone there?
You know what?
Hey.
There's a jar of moonshine downstairs that I think belongs to Rusty's wife that we might have to get into later.
That's true.
If we don't get too deep into the still house here in a minute.
Well, it's going to get deep. So, Sherwin, before we go too far, Sherwin brought me this Christmas present. This is a shirt. It's Rusty's Hot Rod Shop out of St. Louis, Missouri. And if it's St. Louis, Missouri, you know which Rusty that is. And the back of it is, that loud NASCAR billboard style.
Yeah.
Man, this thing is super cool. Where'd you find this?
I have no idea. All I know is I was perusing, and it could have been somebody sent a link on Twitter that just caught my eye. Maybe even Rusty himself, and I was like, "Wait a minute, this is perfect, right?"
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, to spare everybody that's already heard it 40 times, backstory, Jerry, I gave Ricky Wallace the nickname Rusty Wallace because of Rusty Wallace, the driver, and now we're here 15 years later.
Yeah, well, 15 might be short. As crazy as that
16 years later. So when I saw something that was very fitting, and I was like, I got to buy that.
Oh, yeah. This is. I told Sherwin. I mean, at my workplace, it's pretty casual in terms of shirt. I'm like, this is a work shirt. This is where I'm wearing this to work, and people gonna see it.
Didn't one of y'all get a kick in the tire shirt?
I did. Yeah, I sure
That's
did.
what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was it you that gave it to me?
Yeah, it was in Atlanta.
Dadgummit, I should have worn that one today. I got too many shirts to wear. No, dude, I got that, and then I traveled with it because you had said post some pictures on Twitter, and so I tried to send you a few pictures. I was in Milwaukee. I was in somewhere else. I can't remember. I was traveling all over. I might have been in New York, traveling around, and I said, I got my kicking with the tires shirt, man.
Heck yeah. All right.
That thing...
I give them out, so it's probably the only person in the world that gives out Ralph Lauren Polo kicking the tire shirts. Basically, those are supposed to be for the staff, and they put the logo on the wrong side, so they became freebies for everybody.
Perfect. I love it. I wear that one. When it's a nice dress-up day at work, that's the one I'm wearing. Is the
all right.
If it's got a collar on it, that's a dress-up day. Like the CEO's coming to town or something, I need to look, good. I got to look good in that kicking the tire shirt. Yeah. That's awesome. So. Sherwin, let's get on to it. Silly season. I need a sound effect for it because we're out of sound.
What do we want to start with? Just the way we already wrote it in the order.
Let's
here.
just do it.
All right, Ricky and Danica.
What the hell, man?
What the hell,
Jerry? What the hell? What happened?
So Danica didn't show up in Las Vegas for the banquet. So we kind of knew something was going on. During after the Myers Brothers event, they have a Q&A with the drivers where we all go and kind of one-on-ones for that's how we get our off-season audio and stuff. So I asked Ricky at that time. I said, "Hey, she didn't put me up to this, but is there a ring under the tree for Danica this year?" And he's like, no, I don't even want to go there. And I'm like, really? You're just avoiding that question? He said, yeah. Well, I wish I'd have been smart enough to follow up because they broke up, and I probably could have had that story back when we were in Las Vegas.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So, I mean, it took this week. We all suspected it, but it's not a story, honestly, though, unless he would have just told me, I probably wouldn't have run with it because I knew about several other things that were going on in the garage, and I chose not to write about it because they were personal. Like Joey Logano and Brittany, I knew that she was pregnant, and the way I knew was, it's okay to say this now, but at Talladega, the first Talladega this past year, Brad Keselowski's wife runs up to Brittany on the pit road before the race and puts her hand on her stomach because, oh my God, I'm so excited. Hello, no. That's girl for you're pregnant.
Yeah.
Yes. That is girl for you're pregnant.
So I knew that, but I let it go because that's not my spot. That's not my place. That's for them to say that. And then there is video of me interviewing Dale Jr. At the Hendrick unveil, and he was talking about a big special announcement, and I was coaxing him into it, and then I stopped before I went any further because I knew exactly where he was going with it, and that was their reveal that Amy was pregnant. So,
oh wow,
it was so that's twice.
Man, you're on the pregnancy dial.
Yeah, well, I found out a long time ago, and I'm giving away my secret, but if you befriend the women and the drivers' girlfriends and wives, they will tell you stuff. Like last year in Vegas, I broke the wedding date of Dale Jr. and Amy. No one knew when it was going to be. And I'm on the red carpet at the banquet last year, and I asked her, I said, are you going to go ahead and tell me? And she said, yeah, and she broke it right there to kicking the tires. I mean, that was huge. And because no one else had gotten that information, but it's because I made friends with them, and they will give you information if you treat them right.
Oh, that's fantastic. But what's surprising here, Sherwin, I mean, we just said, or you were saying earlier, they had just built a house and all that. I mean, we're in gossip column stuff now, but hey, it's the off season. Deal with it. It's I think a lot of times I don't like talking about this stuff because it's just like, man, gossip column stuff, whatever. But this is like a powerhouse couple in the, in the sport. This is they're part of the Ricky Danica thing is part of the sport. It feels like, and so for that not to be a thing, it almost feels like it's affecting the sport in a weird way. I don't know how to say that.
Hey, that's another. When that first started, it was we saw them on the beach in Miami, but it was Champions Week down there, and we saw those two on the beach together. But people were putting two and two together by then. But it wasn't until later that whole announcement happened. But you talk about power couples breaking up. I mean, the only power couple left in the garage I think of now is Ryan Ellis and Matt DiBenedetto. That's what Garrett Smithley said today when he was asked the next power couple, and I have to agree with him. That's the only two left.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Well, and so speaking of that and the whole and actually taking it to a serious place with the whole power couple thing, I was convinced as we moved towards the off season and we basically understood that Danica doesn't have a ride. She's going to run the Daytona 500 and the Indy 500, which is going to be awesome, but she doesn't have a NASCAR ride for 2018. But I expected her to be around the sport because she would be supporting live-in boyfriend, Ricky Stenhouse. But now that's obviously not going to happen because they're not a couple anymore. And it's like, okay, so Danica is basically probably going to be completely removed from NASCAR as soon as the Daytona 500 is over. And I'm disappointed.
That's a good point.
All the little girls that wanted to be Danica Patrick, they're not going to get to see her.
We don't know that Danica's got a ride. I interviewed Chip a couple weeks ago at PRI, and we wrote that Chip announced there that he's not going to put her in an Indy car, and he didn't have plans to put her into a Cup car. So that road for him, it seems to have kind of come to an end. He said that it wasn't her fault, it wasn't his fault. It just they had different ideas. Unless she can get Penske to come on board. And Roger said at Miami that he wasn't interested in it. All that can change with money, obviously, but right now we haven't heard that she has a ride for either race.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that you're right, Jerry, and I've been reading behind the scenes on that, and it's been falling apart because the assumption from the very beginning was that Chip Ganassi would provide cars for both endeavors, and he's kind of like, no, I'm not a part of this. You know, I don't know that he
backed out.
Yeah, and I don't know that he ever was. You would probably know better than we would for sure.
He admitted that they were talking. They were talking, but the talks came to a standstill. So things at whatever point it happened, and he said that he was involved. It was the process that was it had reached a certain level, but then it dropped off, and he seems like they've come they basically have gone away. So it doesn't look like it will be him. It may be a money thing, it may be a sponsor thing. I'm not sure, but he said those talks had stalled.
Yeah, I wonder if it really is. I mean, everything is a money issue, right? It costs. I mean, it probably if you prorate every race, the amount of attention that Daytona gets means that the sponsor probably gets the equivalent of 2 regular season races worth of dollar value. I struggle to believe that Danica couldn't find a partner to bring that dollar value for a single race.
For one race, for sure.
Whether it's Daytona or Indy. So I wonder if this is more of a blackball situation because she broke up with Ricky and they just don't want to deal with it.
I don't know. You know what? We've got all this money from the Patreon to give away to a driver. I wonder if
right. Will they take 4 digits to race?
Wait, I know an Xfinity driver that might take some Patreon money. Wait a second, what do we got?
The low 4 digits, the ones that start with a 1. Which, by the way, I mean we haven't really talked about it enough, Sherwin. But I thought this is the funny thing. I thought this time last year when we decided to do this that we might have $200-$300 to give somebody local. Here we are sitting on, I don't remember, but I know it's more than $1,000. I'm like, oh crap, this is like for
real money.
Yeah. Wait a second. Y'all have local money. Y'all have money to give away to a local driver?
Yes.
And you're in Georgia, right?
Yes, sir.
Garrett Smithley's your guy. He's from Georgia. Well, he's from Pennsylvania, but he lives in Georgia.
Maybe he'll slap a PETM sticker on the car.
I bet you he will. I bet you I can make that happen.
Oh man, we're going
to be talking to you.
Yeah, we got a little.
I guarantee you that if there's some sponsor money to go with it, we can get a sticker on the car.
We'll slide into the DMs, and see what happens. That's a pretty cool deal. Moving on. The gossip columns can do Ricky and Danica all day long. I think we've said what we. What's interesting there. Jeffrey Earnhardt, though. So, Jerry, you broke this story to me earlier because I've been out and about and blah, blah, blah. But tell us about that.
Well, the Motorsports Group and Circle Sport, basically, Joe Falk and the other guys, they split, which left Jeffrey Earnhardt without a ride, essentially. He's got Hulu sponsorship. Caleb Whistler at Kicking the Tires wrote the story earlier today. And now, it's not that it was, we broke it or anything like that. It's just we followed up with it. Jeffrey put something on his website that says, hey, he's got some things that are looking forward. He's got some announcements that will probably be coming. So don't think that Jeffrey Earnhardt's out of the sport because of this split between TMG and Circle Sport. It looks like things will work out for him to some degree. There's all kinds of, if you go down the rumor mill, he's going to be in the 3-car at Richard Childress Racing with Hulu on the side. Driving an Xfinity, but
that's big.
That's what someone put on Twitter. I don't believe all of that. I did get a chance to call Jeffrey today. Time got away from me. I'd love to have had an update for the show. But if we find something out, we'll have it on kickingthetires.net. But yeah, that was, he says that, look, things are going to be okay. He'll be fine. So we'll see. I know that there is a lot of charter situations happening in the sport right now. Rick Ware Racing bought they're leasing the 43 charter, which the way the charters work, the charters are numbered 1 through 36. the oldest car in the sport got the number one charter, and that was the 43 car. Richard Petty had the 44 charter and the 43 charter. They're running the 44 charter on the 43 car this year. They released the 43 charter, which is the number one charter, to Rick Ware Racing. And so all of those things, then you've got, I believe, Front Row has another charter that's sitting out there. The 77 charter got sold. So there's a lot of charters floating around that these drivers that are probably back of the pack like Jeffrey is. There'll be a lot of announcements coming up just immediately after the first of the year.
Well, never mind that. I think we averaged like 38 and a half cars, across the season. So we know there's going to be an average of 2 or 3 cars that show up without a charter. They're going to try to qualify. Now, granted, they did a lot of adjustments to the back of the pack in terms of money and points being earned, but if you're showing up to, I don't know, just make a paycheck, I guess the Cup Series is where you want to do that. But if he had whatever sponsorship Hulu's got to run a car in the Xfinity Series and a chance to compete for maybe even a win, well, that certainly seems like a better opportunity for a future career as opposed to just say, can we make some money doing this?
And, I've talked about it before. I'm in the media business in a way. And I mean, Hulu.
Rusty knows a boatload about this whole TV stuff.
Hulu is, they're pouring money out of their ears, or not pouring, but just money's coming out of their ears right now. Same with Netflix. I just read today, Netflix is bigger than all the cable companies on earth combined. Like that's how much of a market share or whatever you want to call it
in terms of number of transactions.
Yeah, I don't even remember what the number was, but it was some scale that was bigger than all the cable. So it's something like, so when you say a Hulu sponsorship, I'm like, whoa, maybe Hulu hasn't caught on for everybody yet, but that's huge, getting that what we keep calling like the next generation of sponsors and stuff, and that exposure stuff. That's huge. That'd be really neat to see.
So here's what I see. So I give Hulu $8 a month, and I hardly ever use it. However, it's just because I'll pick it up and watch different things.
Yeah, we watch Futurama before we go to bed.
Right. So, but I don't have Netflix anymore. I'm borrowing a friend of mine's right now, but I've had it for years and didn't use it. So, but with Hulu, I actually see a value to it more so than when I had Netflix. I also have Amazon Prime, but what I see is you're talking $9, $7, $8, $9 a month. Your cable bill is $110, $140, $160 a month. If you can get, for these companies like that with that they're doing everything over the internet, if you can get 1 million people to give you $8 a month, that's $8 million a month that you're making. And all you're doing is streaming stuff. You don't have an infrastructure like a cable company. Mm-hmm. So it's really kind of cool, the business model with Netflix and Hulu and the way Amazon Prime and things of that nature has done it. People say, how do they make money? Well, it's money in volume. I'd rather have 1 million things I sell for $1 than 100 things that I sell for $1,000.
That's very true. Yeah. Yeah.
It's your market is so much better, and it's interesting that Hulu sponsorship. I don't think it's a big, huge sponsorship, but it's still enough to get a car on the track. So that's kind of cool.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny how aligned you and I are. We got rid of Netflix not too long ago, and maybe about a year ago, and we have Amazon and we got the Hulu and all that stuff over here at the Rusty household.
Yeah, I need to get rid of more stuff. My cable bill is absolutely ridiculous.
Kicking the tires, I'd be happy.
All right.
I reached out to Cricket Wireless last year to see if they and we're in we may have something there, but I'm always looking for sponsors. But I would pitch Netflix if they want to come on board and sponsor us. That'd be fine. Or you guys too, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well. Yeah, well,
the more money we could take in is the more money somebody's going to get. Obviously the cloud level goal would be that we would have some sort of relationship with the Cup team.
Sure,
if we're shooting for the stars, right?
Yeah, why not?
Shoot for the moon and land among the stars,
How
or
fun
all
would
that, whatever that cliche is. But
and that cliche has always been weird to me because it's like, No, it's kind of the opposite way around, right? I mean,
there's clearly
if you shoot
no
for
stars
you're
in between us and the moon.
You're going to land on the moon,
Yeah.
but that sounds a little weird, so I don't know. Anyway, sorry, nerds.
Shoot for Alpha Centauri and land amongst the moon.
And yeah, you'll hit the sun and burn up. I don't know. Whoa, that stuff came out clear.
It's very clear.
Sorry.
Oops.
He's pouring himself a drink right there.
I don't need it.
You know what? I can't remember who it was. Once again, total unprofessional. Maybe it was Nate Ryan when we were talking to Nate Ryan about, all right, we talked to him right when the off-season was starting, the silly season was starting, what sort of things is he looking at? And I think one of the things that he was really paying attention to was Kurt Busch and SHR and saying, everybody, including Kurt, saying, hey, this thing, it's cool, it's all good, but every day that goes by that we don't hear a story, it becomes more of a story. So, Jerry, it sounds like that's tied up in everything now.
Yeah, well, everybody knows, or for the most part, everybody knows that I'm pretty well connected with Kurt, and he's a great guy, but he's a great race car driver. So there wasn't ever a worry that he wasn't going to be in the sport. He wasn't going to be behind the wheel of a car. He and I talked a lot about different things. He would never give me a yes, it's a done deal until it was a done deal. Because if you go back and look at the sites, it was printed by one outlet that, hey, the deal's done, and blah blah blah. Well, the deal wasn't done, and I wrote a story saying, contrary to published reports, and the reason was because part of the management team wasn't that deal wasn't signed yet. So and that was a big deal with him because he wants to keep his name out there and he wants to continue to promote the Kurt Busch brand, and that was that's why I wrote the story that I did. But I was working this story basically from day one. From the moment that we knew that they didn't pick up his option until the day that we wrote the story that said, hey, we got out ahead of everybody and said, hey, it's a done deal now. You can bank on it. It's signed, sealed, delivered. 20 minutes later, it was out there, and that's all. That's cool. So yeah, Kurt's deal's worked out. I hate that Tony Gibson's not going to be there. Oh man, kind of sucks in my opinion that he's and no slight to the crew chief that's going to be coming in for Kurt. I just think Tony would have been great to have on the box again to give them another year to show what they've got, going into 2018. So, but Tony's going to get to enjoy his grandson, and he'll still be around from what I understand. But he's going to work with all the cars instead of just the 41.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would expect he's probably going to be a competition director or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
Unless
he just decides to go to the house. But yeah, the last I heard, he was going to try to work with all the cars over there and make them go faster.
Yeah, I fully expect him to be a part of SHR until he's ready to be done being employed by anybody.
Yeah,
based on what he's been saying on both Kelly and Nate Ryan's podcast. So yeah. I mean, we're going to miss Tony Oldman. Obviously, that guy being so excited at the Daytona 500. A lot of talk has been happening in the NASCAR space about his excitement for that and him getting excited when other teammates win, especially when Kevin won during the playoffs and all that stuff. And he's just a good dude. He's from Daytona. He grew up across the street from the damn speedway, turning wrenches as a kid, and he's a great story. He wrenched on Davey Allison and Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon's cars, so that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good resume. I think the guy might go a little bit, know something about this sport.
He might know just a little bit or two.
We've got some great fan questions this time, so we'll make this last one short, Sherwin. Kasey Kahne and Levine Family Racing released their paint scheme with the Procore sponsor, and you'd written down a construction project management software package and all that. So interesting to see, cool to see, changing around stuff.
Well, cool to see that they've brought in so this isn't a new sponsor for them, but it's at a new level. That they would be like
a primary,
an anchor type sponsor. Yeah. I don't know. They haven't announced how many races, but I mean the car they introduced only had Procore on it and all the the small NASCAR stickers that you would normally see on a stock car, but they changed the font of the number, indicating that they're rebranding now that they've partnered with Kasey as a driver. I'm curious about all of it.
Sure. Sure. So something to look forward to. Let's get on to the questions. I love these.
Hold on. I want to throw something in there real quick.
Do it.
When I was at PRI, they had their new pit box, and this may not be a big deal to anybody, but the Levine Family Racing pit box is going to be phenomenal. It's on my Twitter. If you go back to the PRI time.
Oh, I saw it. I retweeted it from PETM. I thought that was a great tweet.
Thing's fine.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Can I get a hell yeah?
Yeah.
So here's a secret inside thing. Some of the guys from Stewart Haas Racing were in the shop that day where the pit box was made. I forget the name of the company. But they were over there getting their stuff refurbished. And they said, "Hey, whose is that?" And they told them whose it was. And they're like, "We got to get one of those." So now they've got orders already because of that pit box that Levine Family Racing had. Everybody's jealous of it, so you'll see several of them on pit road next year.
Yeah, awesome. So our question, first one from Mick Rose at GoDucks42_Mick. I love this question, Sherwin. If NASCAR had a draft, which driver and which crew chief would be your first pick? So I'm digging it. I mean, what a great question.
I guess we'll let our guests go first.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So, Jerry, your crew chief and your driver that you're going to draft, who's it going to be?
My driver would be probably Kevin Harvick. And my crew chief, I'd keep him together with Ronnie Childers. I really would. I'd do the Harvick Childers combo.
Proven extremely successful over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Hard
No
to go.
No slight to anybody else, but that would be my first draft.
Hard to go wrong there. Rusty, you want to go next?
I'll do it. I hope I don't steal any of yours. It's no secret that before, or on shows that we've done before, that I have a ton of respect for Paul Wolfe, and the strategy and the stuff that goes on there, and it takes like a heady driver to get Paul Wolfe. It feels like, I mean, just all that stuff they do. So I really like that Paul Wolfe thing. Now here's the thing: as far as a draft goes, and I'm banking on somebody for the future, Chase Elliott, buddy. I mean, it's got to be for me. Give me Chase Elliott. He's going to win 8 races next year.
I enjoy both of those combinations you've both thrown out, so I'm going to go. I already had thought about this ahead of time, which is unusual for me because I normally like to go in the moment and hope that the moments that our listeners will survive and not get too upset about. But I have thought about this in advance, and I have a very distinct choice. I want Christopher Bell, and I want Cole Pearn.
Oh, talk to me. What's the story?
So I think Christopher Bell is the next Larson, but maybe even better.
Mm-hmm.
He's only raced 100 times on pavement, and he's already won a Truck Series championship, and he's won a Xfinity race, though I was definitely vocal even on the PETM podcast handle, but I did not like the way that slide job that he put on Eric Jones. I was not a fan. I was very frustrated by that choice of racing style, but the kid's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And he's young. Cole Pearn is also young, and he's one of those you never know what he's going to do, which that's what I love about him.
Yeah, yeah. So great picks. I love it. And thank you, Mick, for that question. A very similar question here from Andrew Kantian at KHANTZIAN. Another one that I love, and me and you probably have very similar answers on this one. We'll see. All right, you gotta put together a broadcast group, right? They're calling the race, and you get one color commentator, one driver, and one crew chief. Who's it going to be? So the commentator, driver, and crew chief. Jerry, you want to kick us off?
Let's see. Commentator from, I got to go with my boss. I can't get thrown the wolves here. Doug Rice.
I love it.
That's a great choice.
I'll go with Kurt Busch for commentator because I think he's got a good head on his shoulder about the sport. And crew chief, I'm gonna have to go with Paul Wolf because I think he's a freaking genius, and Cole Pern's gonna be mad at me, but I'm gonna have to go with Paul.
I was thinking Cole Pern earlier too. It was between those two.
That's funny.
That's very funny you said it. Sherwin, here we go. I love once again, like man crush, Andy Petrie is my color commentator. And it's a shame that we haven't really seen him in the booth much lately, but I really respect what he does and the way he does stuff. I'm a big fan of Andy Petrie. My driver, I've got to have Junior up there, man. He brings that bridge between driver and the everyday person that is I don't know. It really he brings so much to it, and we're going to be looking forward to that over the next few years coming up. So that's pretty cool. And I'm going to throw out the fact that you said crew chief because I would really, really like to see Brett Griffin in the booth. This might have to be done
it's on HBO.
I was about to say it might have to be done on HBO or something, but you put Brett Griffin.
I like the way you just you kind of danced across the map there. So I thought about this in terms of what do we already have in terms of color commentators? So I gotta select a TV journalist, so to speak. So I want Lee Diffie as my color commentator. I loved the 4 or 6 week stretch that they did during the summer with him on NBC Sports and NBC. I think he's great because I've watched IndyCar before. And I just love him. It's obvious he does his homework and he knows what he's talking about. And he's Australian, and Australians freaking rule. So that's the other piece.
You sure he's not British, Sherman?
Yeah, right. Who the hell's this damn Limey? Dude, he's from Australia. He can kick your ass.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. He wrestles alligators. My bad. So for color, I want Lee Diffie. For driver, I want Dale Earnhardt Jr. And for crew chief, I want Andy Petrie.
All right. Well, I like how that.
Y'all picked from broadcast and TV. I picked from broadcast and radio. So if I want to amend. If I'm going to go with broadcast and TV, I'm going to go with Marty Smith.
Oh, that's a great choice. Of course.
So Marty on color would be absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that I hope we get to see that down the road. I mean, I know he and Ryan both love NASCAR, and they're going to stay as close to it as they can while they're doing their football and their baseball and other stuff. But I hope ESPN can figure out another way to, overlap the Venn diagram with NASCAR because those guys are awesome.
Yeah, it's a shame that the promotion is out of NASCAR, because those guys in NASCAR are just
and their Saturday morning radio show is still NASCAR AF.
Yeah,
they just have to talk about more stuff than just racing.
All right, here we go. Frank Villette at Frank Villette. Frank. He asked us, you're leaving a track and you got 3 options. You can either do an 8-hour drive straight home, sleeping in your vehicle or hotel, rooming with Chris Knight, but he has control of the thermostat.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's exactly the reaction Frank was hoping for.
So 8-hour drive straight home, sleeping in your vehicle or a hotel, rooming with Chris Knight. He has control of the thermostat.
And he's got it on winter.
Here's the thing, dude. When I go to a hotel, I mash a thing till the numbers stop. Down.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So
usually it's
so
like
Chris.
64 or 63.
Yeah, whatever the number is, that's where I'm going. So I'll be there with Chris. Chris Knight is such a fun dude. He's been on the podcast. We met him in person. There was that quick video of him dancing and singing on his drive home.
Oh yeah.
We've got a good segue for that.
Oh yeah, go for it, Jerry.
Okay, so Chris and I are traveling companions. It's me and Kelly Crandall and Chris Knight. So we travel together, and Chris Knight and we have been thrown out of hotels because he got us things. Our air conditioner was broken because he broke it so bad they had to put us in another room. Then he got into an argument because the other one. He actually got me to get into an argument with the management, and we ended up. I called the cops on the owner of the hotel, and we got thrown out.
Yes. That is fantastic.
Yes, that really happened in Cincinnati, Ohio, the weekend of the Eldora race. We were the week of the Eldora race a couple years ago.
Oh my gosh!
Yes, that really happened because he broke the air conditioner, ticked off the owner, went to the other room. It wasn't cold enough, and then I got into an argument about something else with the owner, and he got in my face and insulted me, and I called the cops, and we got them.
That is so awesome.
Oh my gosh!
That was way better than I thought the response to that question could have turned out.
True. So here's your question: would you room with Chris? Would you sleep?
Anyway, so I also have been known to sleep in my car from time to time on those long drives. Just pull over, power nap at a rest stop, get back up, and keep driving.
Love it. Sherwin, what's your story?
No, well, so I mean, we're gonna. The strangest thing is gonna kind of flip back and address Chris Knight again, but we have a couple more questions in the Ask PTM bunch. This one I was at your direction, Jerry, using Snapchat, able to get a response from Mr. Jeff Gluck at jeffgluck.com.
Yeah, I'm afraid of this.
It's a little bit more generic than I was expecting. I think he was just in a hurry, but he said, given
and by the way, real quick, Jeff Gluck responded while on vacation in Paris, with his wife.
Yeah, in Paris
and
with his wife.
He responded. So, I mean, what a guy. We've already talked about what a guy, but what a guy.
Yeah, pretty good dude, that guy. Not a shocker at all. He's having the success he's having with his his venture out on his own. So the question is, with all the driving that you've done, what is your craziest travel story or situation?
Well, let's see.
You may have already said it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's been lots of. I actually just realized something last week coming back from PRI that I'm expecting a large bill for tolls from Chicago because apparently the toll tag that I have is not the one that they use in I have 4 different toll tags on my car, but I don't have the iPass, which is what they use in Chicago. So I'm expecting a really big bill, but that's not the strangest. I actually saw the Google cars with the little thing on the top.
Yeah.
I saw it wreck.
That's awesome.
It is on my Twitter timeline from like a year, not this past chase, but it was in Chicago when it was the year before last. We were up there with the when they called it the chase. We were chasing the chase instead of this year's playoff pursuit.
I remember that.
But
yeah. I remember you doing the chasing the chase thing. That was awesome.
Right. So yeah, I witnessed a Google car run into somebody. It was just crazy, and I was like, "That's classic stuff." I've seen other stuff. I've seen, craziness of all kinds. Major wrecks, cars going off the road, stuff like that. But yeah, that was the wreck of the Google car was classic.
That's fantastic. I don't know, Sherwin, crazy travel stories for us. I know that was directed at Jerry, but I'm not sure if we have any super crazy. We drove through a hurricane to go to Darlington.
We did drive through a hurricane to go to Darlington.
That was a stressful drive. And we get there, and across the street from our hotel in Columbia, South Carolina, is a Hooters. And it was like, well, duh. So we ended up right there at the Hooters. And it was still hurricaning outside, so we drove my truck across the street to Hooters to go.
Oh, something you would normally walk to.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
we're like,
literally
we
across
don't have
the street.
Rain gear.
Right. And we had all the crap in the truck, so we threw a tarp over all the crap.
Right, we had to stop somewhere and put a tarp on.
So that one was pretty wild. This last time we were at Bristol, the trailer came off the hitch.
That was funny.
As we were leaving Bristol.
That was not funny, and then it was funny.
Yeah. So luckily the safety chains caught on my trailer hitch as we were driving.
That happened to me.
Yeah,
nice.
The tongue didn't set, so yeah, we hit a nice little dip going uphill, and bagoom.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. It crammed into the luckily into the trailer hitch, whatever that thing's called.
It didn't hit anything vital.
Right. It hit half-inch iron.
Yeah,
and so
license plate still intact.
Yeah, everything's good. but that was like one of those poop moments, and we got her fixed up and slowly drove out of there at that point, and then made it all the way back to Atlanta, no problem from Bristol. But that was the funny part about that was it was 100 yards from leaving. Like, all right, let's go, ka-clunk.
Yes.
Oh crap!
It was within the drag strip campground, basically.
Well, the good news is that we got to get it tested out at that point, and not while driving.
That was a much better place for that to happen.
60 miles an hour down the road.
Yeah.
Well, so was that y'all's camper? Was that
we did an Airbnb pull behind pop up. It was actually a fantastic experience.
Oh, it was great because we were up there next to all the rich people. And we
thank you, Julie Bosley.
Thank you so
and
much,
Mike Bosley.
Julie and Mike. They're so awesome. And they said, yeah, why don't you come camp with us? And it's all these RVs. And like Mike Helton stays up there in that lot and all this other stuff. And we call up Bristol beforehand. We're like, all right, listen, what's the minimum equipment required for us to camp there? And they're like, well, I mean, you have to bring a trailer. You could bring like a pop-up. Like they kind of put a question mark on the end of it. You could bring like a pop-up if you want. And we're like, all right, sold. We're there. We'll see you later. Thanks. Bye.
See, I have a fully enclosed, self-contained 24-foot wolf pup trailer that I pull behind my truck for the last 10 races so I know where you're at with, because I pull into some of these places and I'm like, even though it's logoed up with Kicking the Tires and Shell and Goodyear and things like that, I still feel kind of out of place because I'm the smallest guy there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We were up there with $1 million motor coaches.
Like $1 million were like on the
like Mike Helton parked on the same row that we did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I pay $13,000 for mine, guys, so I totally get where you're coming from.
right, yeah. This is like the $250 weekend rental.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yes.
Laura Henshaw at Fromage is Good, and I know she's on the YouTube right now. So thank you, Laura, for this question. What's your best and worst Christmas gifts you've ever received? We got Christmas coming up. I can't answer worst. I don't feel like. I'm just not one of those people that's expecting stuff or whatever. So even if it's like something that, that's great. I've had people misinterpret things that I wanted before. And so I'm like, yeah, I'll have, maybe get me something like this. And they give me something and it's completely wrong. And I'm like, you know what? The spirit's there and I'm not like trying to expect stuff. So I wouldn't call it worst, maybe just most different than what I was expecting. But I would say best is easy. So I had my parents over. My parents are in town, and I had that old smoker that I had, right? The charcoal
Texas Tower smoker.
Yeah, the vertical water smoker that I had. I bought it 8 years ago or something at that point, and at this point, I've got it sitting up on bricks because the little feet fell off. I've got like tape around it and stuff. I mean, this thing is just barely even standing.
It's been to like 40 races, too.
It's been to every race. and the thing is just legendary at this point. And I made one of the most amazing pork shoulders you ever had. Pulled pork, the Boston butt, pulling that off. And but it took work, man. I mean, it took 8 hours of like, I should be paid for the amount of work that went into this, right? And I pull it off, and I mean, this is one of my proudest moments in all of cooking. Oh, my God. I mean, restaurants ain't got nothing on what this pork shoulder was, you know what I'm saying? So, and my parents are over, and I serve this, and they're just like, wow, this is great, this is so good. And my dad had seen me out there just working this thing. You got to fill this thing up with charcoal, like a whole chimney of charcoal every 3 hours, because it just burned it off, and there's air escaping everywhere, and blah, blah, blah. So my dad needs to borrow my truck for whatever reason. I'm like, all right, just go borrow my truck. I don't care. And he comes back a couple hours later, and he says, hey, there's something wrong with your truck. He didn't come back a couple hours later. It's like 30 minutes later. And he pulls in, and I'm like, what the hell is Dad pulling in back in for? And he says, hey, there's something wrong with your truck. You need to come see. I'm like, oh, great. What's Dad run into at this point? You know, jeez, what a great. You know, I got to deal with this now. It's day before Christmas. If it's broke, we ain't gonna fix it.
Right.
I can't take it nowhere. And I walk out there, and it's sitting in the back of the truck's big green egg. He bought me big green egg for Christmas. And
right.
And y'all, I always say it's like cheating almost, but I try not to be conceited about it, but damn it, I deserve it at this point with all the work that I've put into barbecuing over the years and the crap that me and Sherwin have been through with the little smoky thing that I had. We put in our time, Sherwin, is what it was. We put in our time for smoking stuff, and I shouldn't say I deserve Big Green Egg. I do not. But I have put in my time, and I know what what hard, difficult endeavor it is to do this. So it was really cool.
Yeah. So I mean, I got to see. I think you invited me over. We made a hung out right around New Year's. I think maybe Tech was in a bowl game or something, or for whatever reason we were hanging out.
Yeah.
And we were smoking something.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter. I don't remember what it was. A bird, maybe.
It might have been.
We
bird,
might have done a chicken.
Smoking meat.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. On the Big Green Egg. Yeah.
Okay.
And I just watched you use the thing, and I was like, pretty sure I'm going to have to buy it.
I'm about to get me one of them.
So, yeah. So, basically, like 2 months later for my birthday, I bought myself one.
Great choice.
It is that useful of a device.
And we won't go too far into it, but a buddy of yours at work had one for sale for like $100. It's from the 80s, but it doesn't matter because who cares? These things last forever. And that's one we bring to races now.
Oh, yeah. So we took I've got a Kamado Joe that was probably built in the 70s.
Or maybe 70s, yeah.
And it's not in great shape, but we've taken it to Bristol and Darlington and Atlanta. And we've done a overnight pork shoulder on it at Atlanta and served barbecue to 20 people.
Uh-huh. Oh, man. that thing's where it's at.
Yeah. So, anyway. Jerry, do you care to weigh in on the best and worst Christmas gifts ever?
Well, worst, it's gotten to the point now we don't even do Christmas hardly around here anymore. It's like let's go somewhere for dinner, or let's go somewhere before Christmas or go on a little trip. We kind of make Christmas a together thing. So there's no real worst anymore. I don't remember. I know the best. The best probably that I had when I was a kid was, I think I was about 12, maybe I was 11. I got a yard cart, 5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton yard cart, single seater, and boy, I tore up the roads. And when I mess up the engine on that, my grandfather showed me how to work on lawnmower engines, and we bored it out a little bit bigger and made it a little bit faster, and he let me torque on it. I love that yard cart. I love that go-kart. It was fun. And I was a menace. But I don't know. It's hard to pick a worst. I really can't say what a worst is. I've always kind of gotten what I wanted, or I went and bought it myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Sherwin?
That's a good point. Well, so I know she doesn't listen anymore, so I'm going to call her out. Just because so for me, it's always been like clothes from mom. Like, mom wants you to look nice, so she'll buy you really nice shirts and stuff like that. And then, like, I never even try them on, and they still be hanging in the closet and stuff. So,
yeah.
But best is Rusty actually played a role in what I think is my best.
Oh, I know what
ever
it is. Yeah.
Christmas gift, which was a Georgia Tech cart golf bag,
I think
golf club bag.
BA.
And it has changed. It actually changed my desire to want to play golf more.
Yeah.
Like, because it has
roll around with
all
that?
these pockets, and like, it's cool.
It's got a cooler in it.
It's got a freaking cooler in it.
Yeah. You give a guy like us, a cooler for your beer.
It's
gummit.
happening. Like, so that was cool. And I got that like 3 years ago. So kudos to my dad. So here's how this works, Jerry. My family is so close with Rusty that they actually would call him up and say, "Hey, we're thinking about this. Do you think this is a good idea?" And he's like, "Yes or no."
Or no. Yeah.
Yep. I get the phone call every year. Hey, we're either thinking about this, or you know anything that Andrew might want? I'm like, well, this might work, but they nailed it on that one. I remember them. They called, and I was like, oh yeah, like, yeah,
do that immediately.
Pull that trigger. So absolutely, Sherwin. I think that takes us to Stranger Stang. Asher J. Stanks in this question. Why don't you lead us in on this one?
All right, so we alluded earlier to the fact that Chris Knight was going to come back up in the show. So, given his propensity to get on Periscope and have a good time and show some of his really fun personality, who would win a lip sync battle from between Chris Knight and Jim Utter?
Chris Knight, because Jim Utter's not going to lip sync. He's Jim Utter. He just doesn't. I don't think I've ever seen him lip sync anything ever, and he hates Periscope. So
of course he does.
Is he basically the least fun person on the planet?
Well, it depends on what you classify as fun. One night in a Mexican restaurant in Alabama. Okay, so
hey, this is how every good
sounds
story,
like a great story.
Every good story starts with one night in a Mexican restaurant in Alabama. So
okay, we're in Pell City at the Walmart.
At the Walmart, dadgummit, dude. How much more are you going to bring to this story?
10 miles outside of Talladega.
I'm telling you where this place is at, because number one, it's great Mexican food. Kelly Crandall and I have a saying: if it's Mexican food and it's in a strip center, we'll try it. So we like shady Mexican restaurants in a strip center. So we go here, and Chris Knight is periscoping, and Utter is with us, and Utter had already warned him like 17,000 times, do not periscope me. What happens when so Utter took his phone, and Niter Nation just went ape crazy.
You can say it.
I don't know what rating this is.
No. We're at the point in the show where you can let one of those fly.
Okay. So Niter Nation lost their minds, and Utter's still live. Well, he's got Niter's phone and won't give it back to him. So I go Periscope live of them fighting, and it was amazing. So yeah, Chris Knight is gonna, and you know, God love him. He's definitely secure with himself. He's on a health kick right now, and God bless him, because he kicked my butt a few weeks ago when we were up at PRI in Indianapolis. I was sick, and he was in there working his butt off, doing, you know, running on the treadmill and swimming and all this other stuff. So Chris Knight would win definitely against Jim Utter in a lip sync contest,
and also fun.
Yeah,
and also in the fun contest, he is. You know, he does get his feelings hurt. He is a little bit emotional at times, and we have to console him and give him a baby bottle every once in a while. But he's going to be mad because he's probably listening and watching. Here's my phone going to blow up. But that's okay.
Well, we certainly hope so.
He's a great guy. He's a good friend.
Yeah, excellent. We can't wait to have Chris back on. Quick anecdote: the first winter, what we would call winter Atlanta Motor Speedway race, we actually stayed at a hotel in Griffin, and we walked up to a Mexican restaurant
in Griffin, Georgia.
It wasn't in a strip mall. It was a separate entity, but I've sprained my ankle about as bad as I've ever sprained my ankle.
Oh, I remember that.
But thankfully, I was drunk enough that it didn't seem to matter at the time. But our interesting encounter in that particular establishment was a cross-dressing man who did not even attempt to talk like a woman, but showed up in a dress and a wig and ordered a Coors Light, deeper than I can order a Coors Light.
You know, and God bless her, but
however you do
it was very unexpected in Griffin, Georgia, at the Mexican joint.
Rusty and I had that snap look, you know, when you like, what?
Yeah. What did? Oh, okay, all right. Recalibrate. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing
I'm
now.
seeing it.
Yeah,
all right, cool.
Oh, all right, there it is.
Hey, if you need a list of Mexican restaurants and shady Mexican restaurants and strip centers, give me a holler on Twitter. We'll hook you up.
Well, we gonna slide into them
we
DMs
should clearly
twice.
do a top 50 list on that.
Yes. Oh, that's perfect. I love it. Oh man, Jerry, we've held you for an hour and 5 minutes here. We appreciate
whatever,
you being
man.
on so
I'm
much.
game. I'm having fun. This is awesome.
Yeah. Well, we've reached the end of it. Why don't you close us out? Tell the folks where they can find you and everything else. They gonna turn it off by now.
I had
anyway,
one more thing I wanted to throw in there to freak people out.
Do it. Freak them out.
Oh yeah. Now, so I think most of the people that follow us realize that we're also pretty avid soccer fans, especially now that Atlanta has a team. Atlanta United has hired U.S. national team player Xavier Nagbe, and I personally, knowing how good he is, can't be more excited.
Excellent.
He is super good, and we're stoked.
I think I said it earlier this year, but there was I think Rolling Stone magazine, which I don't know, whatever. If if you care what they say about sports, but I believe it is Rolling Stone that said the number one most exciting sports team in the world right now is Atlanta United Soccer.
Yeah.
You got to get out and do something. I didn't talk about it much on the podcast, but we did one where we were out like on the field level, like on the grass with the little board in front of us, and the players from me to you, Sherwin.
Yeah.
Like we can slap them high five after a
Slap
good play
hands.
or something. Yeah,
Slap
yeah.
hands.
And I mean, just incredible what was going on there. So
Yeah, I have no clue what y'all are talking about. Soccer, round ball. Guys
Yeah,
on the
it
field.
was. It's been an explosion. I played soccer all my life, Jerry. So like that, I've always tried to incorporate just a little bit of that into the podcast,
I
knowing
thought you
that
were from Alabama, not Brazil.
knowing that NASCAR folks don't really have like. There's not a lot of crossover, but there is, and the ones that there is crossover with, it's really strong crossover. Like we have, I know we have some guys that are actually paying attention on the chat feed on YouTube.
Yeah.
Are huge soccer fans, so I always want to throw them a nugget in that direction.
Okay, I hate to look. I'm at Miami this year, Homestead, and Mark Garrow, who is my boss on PRN's Garage Pass, he's the host, and I'm the producer. Garrow is talking to one of the other reporters from Racing Experts or somewhere. I forget where he's a reporter at, but they're talking soccer and Tottenham and Manchester United and who's got the best this and that. So, and actually, there's a Periscope of them talking because I was Camille Jones actually Periscoped it because you could see my expression. I had no damn clue what they were talking about, but they were giddy with one another talking about soccer. So apparently, it's kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal. Maybe that's what we'll call this show. Kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal, maybe.
I love it. Jerry, this has been a blast.
I appreciate it.
It's so much fun doing that. I mean, it's so much fun doing this every week, but man, when somebody comes on that's so much fun to talk to, I'll just keep saying the word so much fun and make it awkward. But
very much appreciate your flexibility and coming on too. That's a big.
I'm easy. I'm cheap.
Like Sunday morning here, Jerry, tell the folks where to find
Sunday
you,
morning.
what's coming up next, and where you're up to.
Okay, so kickingthetires.net, you can find all the stories from the 5 writers that we have. Myself, Aaron Bearden, Caleb Whistler, Zach Catanzaretti's coming on this year. Summer Bedgood's going to stay, and Christian Schneider is going to be staying with us as well.
Awesome.
So we've got a great crew. Kickingthetires.net. You can follow me at JerryJordan_KTT. You can follow the main feed at Kicking the Tires, and just reach out to us. My cell phone is out there, 409-498-1074. If you need to get in touch with me, I don't care. It's all over the world. So if you got a story idea, if you just want to chat about NASCAR, we're here, and I'll definitely oblige you.
That's fantastic, Sherwin. I ain't giving out my phone number.
No, me neither.
Oh, I love it.
Anybody that's gotten a sticker's got my home address, so hopefully they don't come and burn it down.
Right. Don't get that anthrax little thing in the mail. Y'all, it has been so much fun for the off season. Here we are. Our off season ones always last the longest. It's funny how that works out.
Because there's the most amount of ad lib or whatever.
Oh yeah, we're enjoying it.
So
Y'all,
speaking of that, if you want a sticker, just DM us.
Yeah,
a good
just
mailing
give us
address, and we'll send you a sticker.
We'll send you a sticker, the old PTM sticker. It's going to be on the side of a car. We'll slide in them DMs with Jerry here in a little bit and figure some stuff out. But until then, y'all,
we're bringing some of these too.
He's got the
hooked up. So.
Yeah, he's got the microphone thing or whatever, that little triangle thing that goes on the microphone. Hey, y'all know where to find us. PTMpodcast.com, at PTM Podcast on everything that exists that has a @ sign in front of it.
PTM Racing Podcast. If you search that on Google, you'll find it in any platform you could possibly want to use to consume it.
As always, I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace. We'll find y'all next week. Sherwin.
And I'm Andrew Sherwin at Pregame Engineer.
All right,
and
we'll talk to y'all.
Looking forward to the next show.
Talk to y'all next week. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Kwanzaa. All the things. Love y'all.
See y'all next time.
Running
And there it is.
Okay.
Jerry, we're still live.
This is the back end where all the cussing happens.
Yeah, we're still live on
Lord,
YouTube.
This is the R-rated show.
Yeah,
part
yeah. We're still live on YouTube, but the stuff that we do for iTunes and all that, and the podcast part is all finished up.
Oh yeah, so don't say anything that your partners would regret. We actually had to toss an entire episode video because we did not properly warn our guests that we were still recording, and he said something he regretted, and we just dumped the video.
Yeah.
I've been an investigative reporter my whole life. I always assume that I'm being recorded.
Okay, good.
Well, so there's a guy who's been around. Yes, sir.
So now I can say shit and piss. No, I'm kidding.
Oh man, Jerry, that was fantastic. That was so much fun.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. I had a blast. Like I said, I always have fun, but sometimes it's more fun than other times. And this was a tough.
This one was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
An hour just evaporated.
Yeah,
which is the way you want it to be, right? I was telling the guy that I took a lift down here to hang out with Rusty, and I was telling the guy, I said, the best. He's like, how do you celebrate when you think you've really done a good episode? And I said, well, when I think we've really done a good episode, I actually don't remember any of it because so much of my brain is required to create the content that I don't remember any of it. Like I have to go back and listen to it.
I took notes.
And I'll usually listen to it 3 times just to be like, okay, this is how it went.
Yeah, for sure. I've got some. Let's see, what do I have here? I've got some homework to do now as I'm uploading all this stuff and making stuff happen. So, I've got to drop off. But man, Jerry, we got to do this again.
Hey, anytime. What program do y'all use to make all this go live on YouTube?
Oh, yeah. So there's a few things. So to record, I use Audacity. And but that's just recording the audio. That's completely separate from the YouTube stuff. For the YouTube stuff, I use OBS. It's I don't remember the name of it. Something Studio. But OBS, if you search that, that's what like all these people on Twitch and stuff use to kind of put different video sources around and different text and all that stuff. So all the people on Twitch use OBS, and it's free. So that's why people use it a lot. But yeah, OBS is awesome. It's real easy to figure out. It doesn't take a degree in computer science to do it. And then from there, you stream to the YouTube server. You just set it up to stream to YouTube server, and then from YouTube, you have to say, hey, on my live streaming, pick up from this source, and it figures it all out. So luckily, there's not a whole lot to it. You just give OBS a URL, and you give YouTube a URL, and you're done. And it all just kind of works out on its own. So
I used to pay for a service where you could. It was similar to this, but I had to use a bunch of different things, and it would actually bog down my bandwidth to where it was hard for me to get more than about 2 people on the on a show. So So this is pretty cool. I like the way it's worked through Skype. That's big because I actually have a Skype number where I can call someone or they can call me from a phone number as well on Skype.
Yeah. So we have it to where we can do phone calls or Skype calls or any other way that anything can go through, because I've got a phone dialing system through here as well through the computer. So that works. If we have to do phone, I just put somebody's avatar up there and we see it that way. But then it all goes through a mixer. So the Skype thing the video is really easy. The audio has to go through the mixer. So me and Sherwin's both goes into there, and then it outputs the computer. Then it goes back into the mixer. Then it comes back out after it's all mixed back to the same computer. So that's kind of a mess. But
so you have a board. You have a small board.
I've got it. Matter of fact, are you looking at the YouTube right now or no?
No, I'm not. I'm still on the Skype screen.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. For folks on YouTube, thank you for joining, et cetera, et cetera. It's been a blast. And we'll catch y'all next time. Woo! Thank you for joining. Peace out. And with that, let me see. I'll stop streaming here.